Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're checking out Mad Max on the PlayStation 4. Let's get into it. Alright folks, essentially this is like any Mad Max game or movie you would ever see. Max is simply out and about, doing his thing in the wasteland, trying to forget about his family and what he lost, all that jive, trying to find some food and whatnot. There's always some kind of rogue wasteland gang or something trying to bring him down. You know, in these top movies and stuff, they're always after, stealing your car and any kind of resources you have and all that, and that's essentially what you got here. This guy's the gang leader of this gang you're facing. I believe they're called Scrotus or something. But they beat the shit out of Max, leave him for dead, take his car, and that's pretty much the gist of this. You're trying to get him back and take your car back. Now this here is your main form of sustenance in the game. You want to find these little water stations, fill up your thermos, and whenever you're low on health, you just drink that. Now, the map here is one of your other big tools in the game. Like Fallout or Far Cry, any game like you play like that these days, you'll always want to refer to this map, set waypoints and all that kind of job to see where you need to go next. Now this next guy I'm showing you here, this guy's name is Chum Bucket. He is one of your best friends in the game. He's going to help you work on your car, you can upgrade your car, all these different things. When you're all fighting, your car can get lost and you can shoot a flare to summon him. He's a pretty handy guy to have around as the game progresses. These are the car upgrades I was talking about. Chum will help you with these, and you can paint your car, add weapons to it, tons of upgrades to the car. For you racing guys out there that like customization, this will be one aspect of the game you really dig because you can really trick out this car. Now, a lot of the things you can do with the car, you'll see here, I'm coming up on a base and I've got to infiltrate all its defenses and take them down. Well, one of the things I've done is you can see Chum rides in the back of your car. He has a harpoon that I've equipped. That tower you see above me is a sniper tower, so he can shoot his harpoon up there at it. You can take your car and you really can't back up and pull anything down. You've really got to turn the car around and pull the opposite direction, but as you see, it takes down the sniper turret there. And the same thing goes for the other obstacles you face. This is a base you got to get into, so you have to take down all these defenses in front of it. And early on in the game, you'll do a lot of these by ramming stuff and by using this tow cable and pulling stuff down. The car isn't the easiest thing in the world to drive. It is quite slippery, but the more and more you play it, the more and more you'll dig it. Now, next thing coming up is like the battle system. And if you've played Assassin's Creed or any of the Batman games, as far as the Arkham games go, it's basically that same style of battle. Whenever an icon flashes over their head, say it's triangle, that's the parrying move in this, and then you beat the snot out of them. You can use the trigger buttons if some guys rush you really hard and all that to just roll out of the way. But it's that same basic mechanic. You'll be beating the snot out of somebody will creep up behind you and try to hit you. You'll have to hit triangle to kind of parry them, like I just did there. You can get overwhelmed quite easy, just like in the Batman games, but once you get the hang of it, it's not bad at all. Now, the driving stuff here you'll see, you have a lot of car combat scenes. And like right here, I dig this because I can shoot the back of the gas tanks in the cars as I'm going down the road. It's not as easy as I made it look right there because the controls for the car aren't really great like I said before, but once you get used to the slipperiness and the oversteering of the car combat stuff like this can be quite fun. You can fire your tow cables at the cars as they pass you and stuff. You can actually shoot your tow cable at the driver and yank him out of the car as you go by. There's a lot of varied stuff you can do with this car, and the driving thing is one of the more difficult things, but it's still fun. Now, when you do too much damage to your car, you can park it and jump out, or just park like I said, and Chum will jump out of the back and he'll get on your hood and start fixing the car. Now, the time it takes him to fix your car really varies on how much damage you've done to the car. So the more damage you've done to it, the more you've jacked it up, the more he'll be on your hood working on it. A lot of times, depending on the situation you're in, you can just jump out of the car and beat up some people around you while he's fixing it. This is something you'll do a lot in the game. There's all these little watchtowers that claim people's territory, and different folks will hire you to go around and clear the area and pretty much relinquish that person's claim to it. A lot of these too, when you take down these little towers, they're going to drop junk, and it's essentially scrap. Scrap is your currency in this game. All the upgrades and stuff I told you about with the car, you can only do as much as the scrap that you collect. Everywhere you go and everything you do in this game, you're essentially going to want to look for scrap. Scrap can be identified by these little yellow gears you see, and I highly suggest you pick up every one you can find. This is some more just general battle scenes. Usually is not a one-on-one kind of scenario in these fights. This is the base that I infiltrated earlier by pulling down the sniper tower and pulling down the gas tank. Once you get inside, you have an objective to do, whatever it may be, gathering car parts or gathering a resource. But once you clear the area, then you're free to kind of roam about, and like I said, you always want to look for scrap and such. You know, it's without scrap in this game, you're not going to be able to buy anything and upgrade much of anything. But as you beat all these guys up, there are these interact points in the game. I believe Horizon Zero Dawn and all them do this as well. With anything that's painted yellow like this, that's something you can interact with. You can't just jump on anything in this game. You have to look for that yellow spray paint essentially for you be able to interact and jump on it. This is a random guy you kind of find. He reminds me a lot of the merchant in Resident Evil 4, but when you run across this guy in different areas of the game, he allows you to upgrade your attributes. So essentially what I'm saying is, he's the guy that's going to let you upgrade your strength, your charisma, all those things like you would in, say, the Fallout series, all those different attributes. Now, you've got to have these tokens, and the more of these Griffa or whatever it is tokens that you have, the more you can do. Now, you acquire those tokens and get them in many different ways throughout the game. You can find them or do stuff to unlock them, so there's a bunch of different ways in which you can, like I say, gather these tokens to use. Now, you can't just go into this screen at any time. You have to find that merchant, and he's at different places throughout the game, in order to upgrade these. So you can't just do it on the fly as you play. Now this is like when Chum is in a bad spot, or you are in a bad spot and you have to run off and fight some stuff. Chum, if he thinks the car's going to get stolen, he'll drive it off. You can just shoot a flare like I did and it'll call him back in, and then he'll come in and he'll drive the car back to you. Now this is just a random car battle scene. I just kind of want you guys to see what it's like. The camera is not that great in these scenes, but you can, as you see, just run over the guys and such. But you'll see here in a minute, the guys can just jump on the car and they can try to take you out as quick as they can. Like this guy here, he jumped on there and he's trying to yank me out of the car so he can take the car. Now my car is taking so much damage right here, you'll see it's going to tell me to get out of the car, and the whole time I'm out of that car, I can do hand-to-hand combat, and while I'm doing hand-to-hand, Chum will jump out and start trying to fix the car like you see him there. But with the cars running around after you, it's not too bad actually. You can just jump right out of the way, and as you see, I shot the gas tank in the back of it, so that helps out a bunch. These are little secret items you can find. Like this is just a manhole cover. You can pull it off and there's stuff to do underneath there. It's pretty neat. You just pull it off with the harpoon. Well guys, I really appreciate you guys checking out the vid. That's kind of a brief that is, explanation of the game. It's not one of those games that's terribly deep and full of all kinds of just secrets that are really going to pay off at the end. But all in all, it's a fun game. I recommend it. You can get it on the cheap, anywhere from 13 to 20 bucks. And check it out if you guys get a chance. Appreciate you checking out the vid. Have a good one.